ain't gotta lie to kick it, my nigga. You ain't gotta lie. You ain't gotta lie. You ain't gotta lie.
What's going on, YouTube? This is episode 11 of You Ain't Gotta Lie podcast. Jason HD, aka Two Wavy Jester. And who am I with
Your boy
today?
Money Baby. F Money up Money.
What's going on, Money? How you feeling today, man?
I'm great, man. It's a Friday. It's nice outside. I got a nice little sweat in exercising.
It's hard to believe you back exercising, bro. But if you have been, I'm proud.
Bro, hey,
Because for the
I
longest,
had to, man.
you've just been refusing to exercise. I'm glad you got that motivation
Thanks.
back. But today we have another mental health topic we're going to talk about. We're going to start off talking about fatherhood and abandonment in the black community, how it affects us. Money's going to speak on his perspective growing up, with a father and what he's seen. And I'm going to talk about what I experienced growing up. Keep in mind, people, these are all our opinions and our personal experience. Everyone else's experiences are different. This is just how we see it, and these are the things that we've dealt with personally. Then we're going to talk about video games we're looking forward to playing coming up this year, as well as what's going on with the draft lottery. There's a lot of conspiracies out there with the draft lottery, so we're going to be diving into that, and then we're going to have off-season storylines. So for our first one, Money, would you like me to go first, or you want to?
I'll go first. I'll say, our topic about fatherhood, abandonment, the different things regarding it. I would say there's two types of absences that I was reading this. I was like, there's two types. There's physical, when they're not physically there, or emotional, where they're not mentally there. Physical when they're not physically there, emotional when they're not mentally there. I'll say studies say it leads to different things like emotional well-being, academic problems, behavior issues, and social adjustments. And I'll say it also could lead to healthy relationships. I'll say even though they say those things, I don't always agree with it. I know it's they do by percentages and everything. I'll say with having my dad in my life, I'll say it was a learning experience for both of us because, as you know, I was the oldest, and until I was 5, I didn't have any siblings. It was just, me and my dad going to Chuck E. Cheese all the time, going play. hey, Jay, he got so good. You know that rollerball game where you roll the ball and you get. He
Yeah.
got so good at the game that we would sit back and wait, and he would let the jackpot get real high, and he would go and win it every single time. He got so good at it. He got so good at the game. One time, somebody was like, "Hey, can you win it for me?" And he went and won it for him because he knew. I don't know what he knew, but he knew how to roll it and get it in and everything. And I'm like, all right. And I'll say,
Yeah. Another thing too that I think bothered you as a young kid, because when you're young you don't understand. You just know this is how you feel, and I think and I may be wrong, but you said you had your dad up until you was 5. You never had to share your dad. Now all of a sudden you got to share him. So I think that might have bothered you a little bit.
yeah, with my mom and dad, because I was the only child till 5. So I'll say, even though I asked for siblings, I didn't always know what it included. I'll say,
Entail.
yes, I'll say I'm thankful for my brothers and everything, but with a young age, you're like, man, they're getting the attention. I'm not getting all the attention anymore. And I'll say, we would even play the NFL Blitz games together. That's what we'll do. He'll play, come in my room and we'll play the NFL Blitz games together. And I'll say a lot of things is he taught me, learning with him. Both my parents, we learned, how to forgive people. I'll say, we've been through things, with family and everything. I'll say especially, sometimes with my brothers, even though I didn't feel like I was always in the wrong, but I always got blamed for it. Like, why'd your brothers do this or that? Or why didn't they do the dishes? Or, that type of thing. So I'll say it helped me learn to take accountability about things that was a big thing. Is I had to learn how to be accountable for things. I'll say even though I had all that in my life, I still had to learn and grow as a person. I'll say, with friendships, I still had to learn because sometimes you may think somebody may be a great friend and they turn their back on you. Like I said, like we're talking about with last podcast. I gave a guy my number, my lunch number, because I thought he was a good friend, and he ended up spending all my money. I'd eat ham and cheese sandwiches for the whole school year. So because he was like, hey man, I don't have any money, and I try to be a nice person, and it happens.
You try to do something out the counsel of your
Yes.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll say that really helped with a lot of things. And then I'll say with my dad and my life, I learned, it's all about family. I'll say there's been times that some people I said different things about cousins or whatever, and almost was on point, ready to go, or even my brothers, I'm on point, ready to go, see what they got to say, type of thing. So I'll say he taught me about family. Like I'd rather somebody say something about me than my family. That's how I always lived with it.
Right.
That's how he's been. Like somebody say different things about him, he's like, it is what it is. But as soon as they mention things
Yeah,
about
you
his
don't care.
family,
Yeah.
so I'll say that's
Takes that
one
very
thing he
serious.
taught me. It's like, protect your family. I think he looked at that more as, your status more than yourself, type of thing. What do you think about it? Anything you want to input regarding it?
Um, no, for sure. Like I definitely seen certain things, and especially with your pops. Like one thing I noticed, he takes y'all very serious. Like you boys, he bent over backwards. Like he did so much for you, Jared and Jerron. Like, and I always seen it. And one thing I think Jared was like, it was one point where Jared was like, "Well, I just feel like this," and it's like you got to realize what your parents are doing, especially dad. Your dad was so present there for him, and I don't think he saw it until we had the heart to heart, and he took a step back and he was like, "Okay, I know what you're saying now, Jared."
Maybe him becoming a
And so,
dad helped with that.
yeah, him becoming the dad, he's seeing some of the hardships his pops may have faced when he was younger. You know what I'm saying? So it's little nuances like that that really sculpt your mindset into understanding it. And at the end of the day, when you're kids, you ain't trying to hear that. It's funny because like as we've gotten older, we understand what our parents were trying to do. But when you're young, we have this naive mindset like our parents have always been old. Not realizing they was 15 too. They was 18 too. It's like, oh well listen, you know what I'm saying? If you do it this way, this is gonna happen. Man, things have changed, this, that, third, and what happened? You did it that way, the outcome he told you what happened, it played out. But
Yeah,
I would say from my upbringing and stuff like that. Switching gears here. I think the biggest shortcoming when black men are raised by exclusively their mother or women in their life is creating emotional ass boys. We aren't taught to express ourselves. We don't know how to talk about things without shutting down. Like that's my big thing. I'm a big shut down guy. Like once I get to a point where I feel like what I'm saying is falling on deaf ears, I'm done talking. And I struggle to admit there's a problem. I've been better since I got older, but like one thing I used to really get mad at is when people would call me sensitive. I used to get super upset about that. Fast forward to now, I am on the sensitive side. I can accept that about me, and and I carry everything to myself because I've never learned how to not get upset without sharing how I feel because all I've seen was my mom, my aunt, my grandmother get upset when they talking about how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to a man who's gonna be like, listen, like this is one comic I like. Ali Sadiq, you guys should go check him out. He's awesome. He tells a story about. He said we need to normalize telling us they our feelings. And he said something happened with his daughter, and he pulled to the side. He was like, "Hey, pumpkin, I gotta let you know, like that hurt my feelings. I didn't appreciate that." And he explained to her why it hurt his feelings, and he said that really like helped their relationship grow. And so, but he expressed it in a manner to where she would understand. He wasn't yelling yelling. He wasn't, being, how do you say it,
Confrontational.
confrontational about it, right? And so it's just little things like that, as well as a lot of people will speak to get a point across and not, want to hear your point. People will listen to respond instead of listen to understand. That's a big difference with a lot of people. They'll listen to respond, not listen to understand. And so that led to, and for me, it was always an upbringing. I was at a young age, you don't cry. You a boy. Boys don't cry. That's what little girls do. You ain't no little girl. You gotta be the man of the house. You know what I'm saying? You gotta step it up. You gotta start carrying your weight. At 8 years old, money. I'm being told I gotta be the man of the house at 8 years old. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't get my way with certain things. Oh, just
I
suck
got a
it up and
response
deal
to
with it.
that.
That's
I got a
life.
response to that. I'll say, even though you're told that, I know men don't show it a lot, but when they lose somebody close, you will see the strongest man who lose somebody close. You will see them break down and cry. To be honest,
Yeah.
even the ones who are close to
No,
you.
for sure.
So, like I'll say the thing is, with what you're saying is, that they were they. It seemed like they were trying to grow you as the man that they thought a man should be, not based off of the actual reality of things. What do you think about that?
Yeah. And so, no, for sure. Like, but the thing is, you can't, if you're gonna mold someone into the man you think they should be, you gotta understand there's lines to cross, there's steps to take. We can't just jump to step 28. We gotta go step two, step three, step four, and that wasn't the case. Like there was no guidance when I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandmother, did the best she could, but she was a lot of tough, but not a lot of love. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like my girl just recently started a couple years ago being able to say I love you. So it was a lot of tough, but not a lot of love, and that's another thing I struggled with when I was younger was feeling wanted. I never really felt wanted, you know what I'm saying? That's why I was doing dumb shit like joining a gang and stealing from stores because that's what my friends was doing, talking to a bunch of different women because that's what my homie said was cool. And it was so bad to the point, man, I recall a time I was dating this girl, and one of the homies was like, yo, break up with her, bro. He's like, well, what's up? He's like, bro, break up with her, bro. She ain't no good. She for the streets or whatever. This is before we were saying for the streets, but that's essentially what he was
Hmm.
saying. And didn't even think about it. Ended the relationship with the girl. And I actually really liked the girl at the time, but because I care so much about these other people think, because I wanted to be accepted by them, I stopped talking to the girl. I didn't love myself enough, and I wasn't getting the love from my family to understand this is how you should act, this is how you should be. And I was never taught how to handle certain things. It was never no, sit down like, hey, listen, my uncles, like we talked about in the last one, man, like my uncles were not present in my life, so, you said you disagree with me and feel they should have stepped up, being that, but, for they didn't, that's not what they wanted. One, we both know can barely take care of him, but my other uncle, I really was. I wanted him to be that father figure for me. I wanted to be like him so bad. I used to wear his clothes to school, bro. Keep in mind, for the people who don't know my uncle was 6'8", 260. Big dude. So you have a man, 6'8", 260 man, and you have a little boy. I'm putting on his 8X t-shirts. He had a Sean John belt, like a big Sean John. I'm put all the clothes falling off of me. I used to put his Tim's on. I wanted to be him so bad. And he would get mad, like, man, take my clothes off, this, that, and third. But I wanted to be like him so bad. I looked up to him so much, and he didn't want that. He didn't want to be a part of it. He didn't want nothing to do with it. And like I said, it took me getting older to realize, Jay, he's not taking care of his own kids. So why would he take care of you? So, all that led to I'm still dealing with a lot of that stuff today. You know what I'm saying? I've learned to self cope and, more so accept things because people tell you, don't grudge or don't have hate in your heart towards people because you're giving them power over you. And out of all the things I've heard, that's one thing that stuck with me. Like the concept of giving another
That's
person
the
power
hardest
over
thing,
you,
though.
which has helped me forgive. Yeah, yeah. And I didn't like that concept. So that was how I was able to forgive Alex, my biological father. Like I was able to forgive him because I didn't want to give him no power over me. For the longest time, I wouldn't even say his name. So I had to learn to forgive these people for not choosing to be a part of my life. I had to learn to forgive my mother for not being the best mother for me. I had to learn to forgive my uncle for not being there for me because it helped me grow. Certain things I still, struggle to deal with. Like I still struggle with expressing myself. If I ever get to a point, I just get upset and shut down. And it's not because I'm that mad to where I'm going to get physical or nothing like that. It's just like, just deep down in me, part of me just feels no one cares. Because that's how I was always taught. I was always taught is like, no one cares how you feel. You're a man, deal with it. So a lot of times I just deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's been a process. I've been trying to express myself. It had times where I feel like I expressed myself and it affected the other person in a negative way. So you gotta think someone who's always bottled everything up. I finally open up to someone and it changes their mental health. So what are you gonna do naturally?
Shut down.
You know what I'm saying? So exactly. So I go back to keeping everything in and shutting down. So, that's just my perspective of it. I definitely think having a father in your life changes a lot of things because, once again, like I said last week, women are emotional. So take a lot of these single black mothers raising their sons who are very emotional, then they're gonna have these emotional ass little boys. Another thing too, I will give my mom credit on though. A lot of friends I had growing up, I've seen them, oh, my baby daddy ain't shit, he ain't this, that, third, and blah blah blah. Speak so negatively towards their father to where the kids' opinion starts to be shaped in that way. My mother never spoke illy on Alex. She never spoke ill on Alex. Anytime I'd be like, Mom, I want to call my dad, she'd give me the phone. It was never a hesitation. It was never oh, well, you can't talk to him today because X, Y, and Z. And it was never any of that.
Let me ask you this.
She allowed me to form my
Let me
opinion on
ask you
him.
this. Do you think because he was young that made a difference on how he was, or do you think it was other things
As far as like what?
with the raising you, reaching out, having a relationship with you? And I know that you said he didn't have a relationship with some of your brothers either. Do you think that
No,
made a difference?
kind of, yeah. Like, that's part of the way I helped forgive my mom because, like, I felt like she wasn't the best mom when I was younger, but getting older, I realized she didn't know who she was. She was still trying to figure out who she was in life and get through that journey. So if I tried to say that for him, it don't make sense because even if you trying to figure out who you was at 30, you should have been like, hey, I'm trying to be more present. You know what
I
I'm
agree.
saying? At 28, at any point, you could have been like, even now, I don't know how old he is. We don't talk, but I think he's like 50. Can't tell you the last time I spoke to him. He can walk up to my face and I wouldn't know who he was.
Okay, now that's different.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I met him once. You know what I'm saying? I met him once in my entire life when I was 13.
Wow.
I ironically spent the summer with him. You know what I'm saying? And that summer, probably the worst summer of my life. I went up there with happiness and looking forward to a lot of things, and I left there with a scar on my leg I have ever, and basically a lot of bad memories. One of the biggest memories I learned the reason behind it, but once again, I'm a child.
I agree.
Nothing is being explained to me. I'm just being told this is what it is. And one of the most vivid memories I have from that experience was, like I said, we spent the whole summer up there. It was me and my older brother. It was the first time I met him as well. And we spent the summer up there, and it was the day we were leaving. We're going through the house, seeing everybody, and I go downstairs basement where my uncles were. It was my uncle and my brother, and I'm walking in on the conversation. They're like, "Man, you gonna be the one. You gonna? I'm telling you, if you stick to basketball, you stick to hoops, you gonna be like that. They gave him brand new Jordan outfit, brand new Jordan shoes, brand new Jordan shirt, gave him a brand new basketball, just decked him out. Had all this stuff going on. Man, you nephew, you stick with it, nephew. You nice. You just that third, you nice. And when I came downstairs and I was like, hey, we finna go or whatever. I just want to say bye. And he looked at me and he was like, take care of yourself.
Wow.
And so I went back upstairs to see my aunt and she was crying. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, I'm gonna miss you. And I'm like, it's okay, auntie, I'll be back. And she looked me in the face and was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. I know. And she's like, no, you're not. But it's okay. I'm happy I can see you now. And fast forward, him supposed to be the chosen one in sports. I was the athlete, you know what I'm saying? I was a three-sport athlete. I had all these scholarships to play college sports, you know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, he having babies in high school. He got kicked out of high school.
Do you think that encouraged you to work harder in sports?
So, oh, absolutely. That definitely changed. The seeing the fact that they wanted him to be so successful and all this stuff and they believed in him over me, that definitely changed my mentality going back. Like, I'm like, all right, I got to prove him wrong. I got to prove him wrong. And I did. I was fortunate enough to play college ball, and meanwhile, currently he has kids he can't see right now by law. You know what I'm saying? He has a child, he signed his rights away. So it's just, and it's not trying to say like I'm better than him, but it's just like we both had different outcomes from not having a father.
Yes.
Mine was more so towards, being emotional and overly sensitive, and his is more so towards following in our father's
Yep.
footsteps. He's very similar to Alex, and multiple kids, multiple multiple baby mamas and stuff like that. And on the flip side, I'm scared to have kids. I'm scared I would be the same father as him. That's why I don't have kids now. The thought of that terrifies me.
I'll say
You know what I'm
this.
saying? Because being a parent isn't
I'll
easy,
say
bro.
this. You could be the opposite. Like I have a cousin, and I go bitch his name, but he know what I'm talking about. But I have a cousin who really didn't have the greatest relationship with his father growing up. He was thankful that he had. I'll say the reason why I said that the uncles should have put up more weight, in helping you grow is because with my cousin, that's what happened. My dad was there for him. My uncles were there for him. I'll say, even one of my, closest uncles who recently passed away, he was always on our case. He was always on my case, He was like a second father to me. He would, he told me, I remember this, I'll say, one of his final letters he wrote to us is, before he passed away was he was like, nephew, I'm not worried about you, but I'm worried about your two brothers. He's like, keep doing what you're doing, but I'll like,
Rightfully so.
he's like, I would, I hope the best for your two brothers. And, that always would have me thinking, it had me thinking about a lot of things. I'll say, with my uncles on my mom's side, I'm gonna start getting personal. I had family members on my dad's side who didn't even show up to my wedding. Who I'll say I gave them a card or whatever. They're like, all right, I'm not showing up. It was like an hour and something away, but they would jump and go to Georgia in a heartbeat, go see other family in Georgia, but they couldn't drive an hour away. And so I'll say, my uncles from South Florida, they literally drove 8 hours in one day. They drove down there from South Florida, came by, they stayed at one of my cousin's house and everything. And then they ended up driving back to South Florida that day. And so they always would keep in touch with me, check on me and everything. One of my uncles, he'd call me up. We'd talk about the Dolphins and everything. And then my other uncles, they keep in touch with me. And I'll say that's why I was saying that, your uncles should have been there because they could have changed the outcome. Like I said,
Yeah.
they could have helped, They could have helped change the cycle, because with my cousin, even though his dad wasn't as present with them, like, remember what I was saying, physically. Well, he was, giving them money and stuff, but he was there for him physically. And I'll say,
Yeah.
he has kids now, and he was like, you know what? I want to have a different outcome in my kids' lives. I want to be present, that type of thing. So he used that to be more. He used that as being more present in his kids' lives. He wanted to, help change that cycle. I'll say, there's a lot of things that I didn't know what happened between, my uncle and cousin with different things and life and everything. But I'll say, you know, with my cousin, he decided to, like you were saying, you're afraid. He decided, hey, I want to have kids, and I want to make sure I'm a great father figure to both of them boys.
And if you're talking about who I believe you're talking about, I think he turned into an amazing man. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause he watches the pod, and if you talk
You
about what
know
I
who
think
I'm
you're talking
talking
about,
about.
you was a wild boy. You was a wild boy, but but to see where you were and where you are now, bro. Like, I'm very proud not only of what you became, but even say I'm a friend of yours. You know what I'm saying? You have a beautiful family. You made something of yourself when it wasn't looking that good, bro. So I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you, man. But no, it's just that's the biggest thing, man. The question I ask myself all the time is, how can I be a father without having a father? And maybe it's like you said, maybe some people see it as a challenge, but I don't know. To me, it discourages me. It discourages me and it scares me. It genuinely scares me.
But he
It
had,
bring it's I know I would be a part of their life, but what am I?
but
I don't
Jay,
know. What do I do? What I do? What I never got?
he
Like,
had
I
a
don't know.
father. He had
There's just
father
so many
figures
questions.
in his life though that really helped with that situation.
Right.
With
Right.
yours, you didn't. Not even your uncles were even. None of them, like on both sides of the family, weren't really great
Yeah.
father figures to you. And I say, you even a grandfather or something. I'll say that's what really makes it harder, because you're like, okay, I never got to see that. I'm like, I know you could call my dad up and everything, but it's like, I didn't get to see that until I was grown, type of thing. Instead of
A funny story. When I was, I played ball. I was good. And before, because I have really my breakout year, I want to say 11th grade, 12th grade, before I got hurt. And I reached out to my uncle on my mom's side. This is my grandmother's brother. I reached out to him. He's an Arkansas alum. So I reached out to him like, hey, I know you're a booster for the school now. You think is there a way that you could, help me get into, the school there? I really want to, continue playing sports. And sent him a message on Facebook. I sent my number because my brother said he changed his number. They was having a little beef between them two. But once again, what y'all got going on ain't got nothing to do with me and you, or else I thought. Not only did he see my message, he left me on red, and like 6 months later, he responded like, "Yeah, I can't do nothing for you." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Fast forward my senior year, the school offered me a scholarship. Then all of a sudden, he's now calling my phone. Hey nephew, so and so interested in you coming playing there. I'm like, I'm not going there. You can kiss the baby on that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, especially back then, I hated everybody. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you didn't want to help me, and I reached out to you and you wasn't for it, yeah, you can go to hell. There was no chance I was going there then. So it was like little things like that really just added fuel to the fire for me.
Yeah, yeah, I understand, but I'll say, one decision can change your whole life, which is crazy to think about.
Absolutely. And that also goes to the fact of not being wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm reaching out to my uncle, my great uncle, the person that's supposed to be mature. He didn't want to deal with me. So it was just a constant search for me to feel wanted. And it sucked. It sucked as a kid, not understanding why, because you hear all the stories about the professional athletes saying, oh, my dad didn't come in my life until I make it or whatever. And, I'm getting all these opportunities to continue to potentially play, professionally, play collegiately. And I'm like, he didn't show any interest. You know, it's bad enough my mom didn't really care that I played sports, but it's like I thought he would be impressed and be like, "Hey, I was wrong. You did it. I'm proud of you." Never got it.
That's crazy. It's crazy, but I'll say, I'll say with different situations, it helps you grow as an individual. I'll say, and I'll say it still help you grow into an amazing individual. You don't you beat a lot of the statistics and everything, and you're doing big things. So like I said, you went and played sports. You were compared to your brother, and you ended up playing sports. You got to do something that a lot of people didn't get to do, is play, at the next level. A lot of people don't get a chance to do that. So I say that's great. I still wish you would have been able to come with me to USF. I think things would have went differently, but you know,
Yeah, a bit different.
but
You've
also
been on my case about getting my grades
a
for sure.
lot,
So
a lot. So, and then one of my boys, he went to USF and he was on the team too. So, you know, y'all could have been good friends too. So we don't know. I'll say one decision, like I was saying, one decision can change your whole life. And like how we were saying with the
absolutely.
outcomes and stuff, you make that emotional decision. How many people do we hear about on these different shows? They're like, man, if I would have thought it out those 5 minutes, I probably wouldn't be in prison right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm like,
You hear that a lot for sure.
that makes a huge difference. But I'll say, even though I had my dad in my life, it wasn't peaches and cream all the time. I'll say with the fathers and sons, you'll bump heads sometimes, because like how
Of
you were saying,
course.
hey, you think your dad was always old or your mom was always old. But it's like, look, man, I was 16 when you were. And he will always tell me a story about one of his cousins, how his older brother and his dad helped change his life, because one of his cousins he had was doing, was selling drugs and stuff, and he ended up getting killed at a young age. And my dad thought he was a cool cousin because he always had
Mm,
money and everything. And his dad and brother was like, "Nah, you got to stay away from him." And after he seen that, it helped change him, help make him who he is today.
right.
So you got anything else for this topic? Or you
Yeah, for
good?
sure. I think I said everything, and I mean, I had. So you said that my grandmother had a brother who played sports. I think I might have told you about this before, but he was really good, and he had a full ride to Miami. He was playing football at Miami. He got homesick. He called my great grandmother, and he was like, "Mom, I want to come home. I like it here, whatever." And she let him come home, and he came home and he transferred to Tampa University. It was one of the last years they had their football program, and so basically they ended it after like this. But he was there and he ended up murdered over
Mm.
over a girl. He was talking to a girl that said she wasn't talking to nobody, and she actually was, and he killed my uncle, whatever. And fun fact, that's why I wear 82. It was because of him. So yeah. So kind of sometimes I think about like, damn, what if I could have met him? You know what I'm saying? How impactful he would have been in my life once he seen I was trying to do what he did. So just little nuances like that, you know. But alrighty, moving on to our next topic. Are we jumping into the
Now we're
NBA?
gonna do the video.
You ready
You
to
want
talk
to do
some
NBA or
NBA?
video games?
Oh, video games. That's right. Yes, video games. Video games. What games are you looking forward to playing, Mr.
I'll
Barnes?
say NCAA 26. I'm wondering. I know you're interested in this one too. We're wondering how did they change? How did they change it? Because 25 at the beginning was so much fun, and then they added so much stuff
Bro,
that it didn't make any sense.
the reason the game was fun is because we haven't had it over 10 years. It was just the excitement, like, oh my God, I'm playing college football again. Because everybody and their mama was on this. So many people was playing this game, the servers was shutting down to people at home who don't play video games. So servers means you get online to play other people. It was so many people getting on the servers, it was overloading and shutting down. That's how many people wanted to play this game. It was so much anticipation, so much hype, so much. Oh my God, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And then it came out, and obviously once you get past the initial shock, maybe a month. I think it took me about a month, and I kept playing. I'm like, wow, this is a really bad game. And the more I kept playing it, the more I was, this is a really bad game. And it's funny because Money has this saying he likes to say, a glutton for pain.
A
Did
glutton
I
for
say it right?
punishment.
Of glutton for punishment, right? So he says a glutton for punishment. And once I acknowledged to myself, like, oh, wavy, this is a bad game, like legit bad game, I stopped playing it. He would call me and be like, bro, I'm playing this game and this doing this, that, and the third. I'm like, bro, stop playing it. But he just kept playing. He kept playing it. And it's like, bro, it's a bad game. You go keep getting bad. It's not even like playing by yourself. It was a bad game. You know what I'm saying? Like, so man, it's so much room to grow in that game. There's so many things they can improve upon that there's no reason it shouldn't be a better game.
I agree. I agree. I'll say, I'll say, even though we're looking forward to playing these games, I'll say one game that I thought would have been real cool, but it's on a Switch is Donkey Kong. They got a Donkey Kong, is it Bonanza? Yeah, Donkey Kong Bonanza, but it's on a doggone Switch only, man. I haven't played a Donkey Kong game in
Well, you know, that's
forever,
Nintendo's.
man. But it's only,
I know Nintendo, man.
yeah,
Nintendo is a strong company. They ain't going nowhere. So it'll be different if it's like how we seeing all these companies buying out other companies. Nintendo been around. It was a crazy stat I saw. Nintendo was around when Van Gogh was alive or something like that.
wow,
So just let that sink in. We had samurais and Nintendo was around, I believe. I
which is
got to double
crazy.
check. I have this how old Nintendo is on the screen. But yeah, Nintendo is been around forever. So since they've been around forever, they're going nowhere. So uh, Microsoft is not going to buy them out. Sony's not going to buy them out because honestly, I think Nintendo's pockets is deeper than both of
It
them.
has to be. They
So
had,
you can buy somebody out who go, yeah, it has to
yeah, they
be.
had the Super
So
Nintendo.
you can't buy somebody out who got more money than you,
Okay,
which is a great game.
another one, man.
Sadly, you know what's crazy? The Super Nintendo, the N64,
Yes,
all those were amazing, and
classics.
they never captured lightning
With the
balling
Wii,
again. I would say
the Wii wasn't that great.
the Wii was cool. Yeah, the Wii was cool, but I think the closest they got to it was the GameCube.
Yes,
Like at some point, I'm buying the GameCube.
I had one too.
So that was after the GameCube though.
They went downhill.
It was they didn't really get the same. The Switch is okay. The only reason I would get a Switch is to simply play, like you said, the Mario games or the Donkey Kong games.
Or the Super Smash Bros. I love the Super Smash
Yeah,
games.
Super Smash Bros. Yep, great game.
Hey, I know you're not a huge Pokemon fan, but I love the Pokemon Coliseum games on the Nintendo GameCube.
See, I like Pokemon on the Game Boy. Man, listen, I was addicted to Pokemon on the Game Boy. I had all of them. I had blue, yellow, indigo. I actually,
Did you have a
I
red?
actually stole yellow because like my mom wanted to
You
buy
had the
the.
red?
Yeah, I
And
had
you know
red.
there was a
Yep,
green,
I had
right?
all of them, bro. I
You
love
know there was a
Pokemon on the
green,
Game
right?
Boy.
But it was only
I
it
don't
was
think I
in
played green.
Japanese though. It was only in Japan.
Oh, see, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I think that would be a cool one they brought back. If they brought back that, but it'll be on Nintendo. It wouldn't PlayStation. They'll have to do some monumental
No, no, but
groundbreaking
they
to get
had
that on
you
PlayStation.
know, the Game Boy is still around, so maybe they do something in that.
You gotta go digging for a Game
No, they
Boy.
had
I saw this one dude though. He restores Game
really.
Boys. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, he restores Game Boys, and then he end up the dude who
I still have
restores
my
Game Boys
Advance.
end up partnering with
I
a
have my
rapper.
Advance still. The Advance and the one after.
See, all my cool stuff like that was so. Little backstory. This is slightly off topic. I had a bunch of things that were important to me when I was a kid. We moved from Polk County to Tampa, and once we ended up moving from Tampa to Lakeland. Once we left to go to Lakeland, we put everything in the storage. And I had like all my keepsakes. I had this Tracy McGrady bobblehead that meant the world to me in there. I had all my Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which we now know are extremely valuable if you got the right
Yes.
ones, and I'm pretty sure I had some of those. My Game Boy Color was there. My Game Boy Advance was in there.
Oh
I had the
man.
little Game Boy that had flipped up. All my stuff was in there, and my mom ended up not paying for the storage because it's her job, unfortunately. So
Somebody
she couldn't
bought
afford the
it.
storage, and then somebody bought it.
Oh Oh man. Hey, let me ask you this, because I got this on my list. You remember the Digimon games? How'd you feel about the Digimon?
Love
They
Digimon.
got a new one
Like
coming out.
Digimon. I low key like the a little more. They got a
They
new one
got a
coming
new one.
out on the Switch,
No,
I
no, it's
guess.
on PlayStation. I might have to check it out. It's called
Really?
Digimon
I might have to
Story
check it out.
Time Stranger. We might have to make a series for that.
Yeah, start posting on my gaming channel like, all right, me and Money playing Digimon. But no, I love Digimon, bro. I
Yes.
thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got a new
Another,
one coming out.
yeah, okay, that may be interesting. I know it was a coming out with new Borderlands. That's what man. Listen, have you ever played the
I
Borderland
actually
games?
haven't.
Those are really fun games. It has a story to it. Yeah, it has a story to it. And then they have Telltale did it. You know what Telltale Games is,
No.
right? Telltale Games is basically the interactive game where it's like a movie, but you dictate the outcome. So it'll be like, okay, Johnny walks into the room and sees a guy with a gun, a guy with a knife. Do A, attack the guy with a knife. B, attack the guy with the gun. C, turn around and run. And each outcome has a different. It's going to change the future of the
Oh
game.
wow, that's
And
interesting.
so they did the Borderlands game, which was really good game, and then they did a Telltale version of it, which I really like the Telltale version a lot. I'm not. I think they're gonna do the new one like more traditionally speaking. So, but yeah, really fun game. I'm looking forward to that one coming out. Um, I was looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out this year, but deep down in my heart, I knew that game wasn't coming out this year. And lo and behold, they pushed it back to
Yeah.
next year. So
Madden 26, you excited about that one, or you feel like Madden is just copy and paste?
not at all. Like I was excited for Madden when I took a break from it. Like I didn't play Madden for like 5 years, and then I came back to it, and I was like, oh man, they got so much new stuff. Like last time I played Madden was like Madden 14, and I stopped, and then I came back, and I'm like, what's all this stuff? He was like, yeah, players got abilities now. I'm like, abilities? Okay, we got abilities. I thought it was cool, but then
All them
some of the stuff you
KOs,
deal with, it's like,
all them KOs. You need the ability for
oh
your
my goodness.
quarterback to be able to
So
throw on a run really well. You need the
you
ability.
need the ability to have the ability to do something.
Hey, you need the ability for the
Like
quarterback to throw
so.
the ball faster. It's just ridiculous at this
It's
point.
like okay with the badges, bro. Every year it changes. One year is stats mean more than badges. The next year is badges mean more than stats. Like I forget, more recent been stats meaning more than badges because it was one year where it was like if you had corner specialists, you can make your corner shots. We had dudes with 34 three balls cashing out from the corner. It was like, what are we doing,
Yeah.
2K? 2K is always a bad game.
Are you excited? You're not excited about
I'm a glutton for
26?
punishment when it
I,
comes to
I
that
only
game.
play because of y'all. I,
No, I'm a glutton for
I get my
punishment with that
butt
game.
kicked and I go about my day. Like
Like I buy that game
for
every year
y'all,
and I'm a
bro.
mad as hell at it
For
every
y'all, I
time.
buy it for y'all to play it, and then I get my butt kicked, and I be mad, but I still play it because y'all want to play it every weekend.
Yeah, it's a new Call of Duty I believe coming out too. I'm actually looking forward to. I might get that because I didn't get the
What
last like
about
two
Metal
Call of
Gear?
Duties, but there's one coming out later this year. I'll probably get it. Man, I was never a Metal Gear guy. I thought about getting it and playing on the channel. You know what I'm saying? Just to give myself a break from the sports games. But I've never played Metal Gear, so I think I was thinking about adding that to the channel though.
Okay.
But I don't know the backstory of it. Is it like a continuation of the
I
main
don't, I
story,
don't,
or
I
is
don't, I
it
don't
new?
know. I
Like
haven't seen
I
what the
don't know
new
the
one's
intricate
about.
details of it like that.
Hey, I love the Tekken games. They're coming out with Tekken 9 in a few years, and that's going to be one I'm gonna look forward to. I'll say I love the Tekken games. Remember Eddie Gordo, the dude who be spinning around all on the ground and everything, and then you got Law, and
Yeah,
now it's like Tekken 9.
I was more of a Mortal Kombat guy.
So you like Mortal Kombat
Yeah,
better?
I think I bought. No, it's more than that. Cause you remember I bought Tekken. It was like Tekken X or something like that.
Yes, they
And we were supposed to like, oh, we gonna play this, and we never
yeah,
played it. Never played the
yeah,
game.
that
We played it like once, and I was like, I don't understand. I was never a Tekken guy though. I was always Mortal Kombat. I did buy the Mortal Kombat game and beat the story
the
on it, so that
the
was nice.
newest
Or I
one.
got close to it, maybe. But yeah, it was one that came out a couple years
I like
ago.
the
I got
Dragon
that
Ball
one.
Z games, but after the Budokai games, they made it where you could fly around all on the stage and everything, and I just I just couldn't get into it. I just like the old style, you and a person one on one. Now they just fly around and fire beams and all this extra crazy stuff. And I was like, I like the show.
That sounds like Call of Duty Black
I
Ops
like the
4.
show, but
Oh, I know you're a huge Dragon Ball
yes,
Z fan.
I watched
It
most
was
recently.
I forget what was it, Dragon Ball? Maybe it was Budokai or maybe it was Tenkaichi. One of them games, bro. When I say I was cold, like I'm a button masher to people at home. When I play fighting games, I'm a button masher. This is the only video game that was a fighting game I learned where I knew all the combos. I would get Piccolo and kick people's ass with Piccolo. Hit him with a special beat camera. Bro, I was money. This is how cold I was. I would be kicking your ass, right? And I'm about to end it. I would end it with the special, and I'll set the control down and walk away.
Hey, what,
Like,
what,
that's how,
what? Let me
that's
ask you
how I
this:
used to
Was
do
it
it.
was it the one where you had to like jump in front of the special beam cannon with Goku holding Raditz? Was it that one?
I don't remember. No, the story mode was a map. It was like a little puzzle. It was like a little
Yes.
chess piece,
What? What?
and you can hop around the
Yes.
map to the
What? Was
next
that
location
two?
to fight
Was
the
that
next.
two or
Yeah,
three? Was it two or three? Because I know that one and two had that where you had to go fight Boo and all those. Yeah, I remember one and two had that.
I think it was I'm not sure, man. I want to say maybe two, but yeah, man, I love that game. I was so cold at
Yeah,
it. Niggas didn't
me
want
and my cousins love that one
me.
too. So what about you? What's on your
All right,
list?
you got any other games? I mean, no, really. I kind of said them, threw them in there with yours.
Two, well,
Those are the main
well,
ones. That
2K.
Borderland game I'm looking forward to.
And you said Borderland.
2K, sadly, I'm not looking forward to, but I'm gonna buy it because that's what I do every
Glad
year.
we
I
glad for
buy the
punishment,
game
man.
because it's the only basketball game out. Yeah, it's the only basketball game out. Mad, I'm gonna buy because I played a lot on my channel, and NCAA, I don't know, bro.
You might not get NCAA
Like I said, it's no reason it should be. I'm gonna get it because they do the little bundle. Once again, I'm buying these games. I'm
because of
not
the
gonna
bundle.
like them,
Because
but it's a lot they can improve upon, and I feel like it's no reason it shouldn't be a better game. It's so they can edit and improve. Like one of the features I was upset about. Now you got me finna go on a rant. One of the features I was upset about this game is they didn't include prospect. I think that's the most fun part of it. You create a prospect, put them from anywhere in the world. Well, excuse me, anywhere in the country, and try to recruit them. And then they don't get them. It's like, all right, bet you want to go to Tulane over my mate school in Florida called the Anacondas. Hey, bet we're gonna put you on the schedule. And we're gonna kick your ass. Like that was what made it fun. You know what I'm saying? You could put your friends in there. Like I used to do all my homies. Like on my high school football team, I used to put them on all their dream schools, and I would just play them. It was man, that's what made that game lit, bro.
yeah, yeah. I'll say NCAA. I'll say that I remember at one point, what was it, 14 or 15 was the last one. That game was going for like $100 and something dollars. Dudes were paying it for it too.
Yeah, 14 because it was
Yeah.
rare. It was
Now,
rare. And then you know what's funny? I had the game. I
me
had the
too.
game. I had it on PlayStation 3, and I gave it away to I don't want to say ex friend, but an old friend who we no longer talk. And knowing what I know now, I would have kept my PlayStation.
Man,
But me being a good person, I was like, "Here, bro, you can have the PlayStation."
man, that's crazy. But yeah,
So,
NCAA was
but yeah,
expensive.
NCAA 14 was going for a
You,
pretty penny
you
because
know how
it
much
became a
them
rare game when
Pokemon
they stopped
Coliseum
making it.
games going for, bro? I seen them for like
How
150 to
much?
$200, bro. The game cute ones.
They're hard to get their hands on, especially if they're in
I
good
had
condition
it. I
too.
had that game. Jerry Jerome was like, bro, we gotta find that game. I was like, bro, y'all can take some profit. Y'all find that game. I had him looking up and down the house for that.
Yo, junkie room,
It's,
they gonna have to take everything. Gonna have to take the walls off that room to go through that.
whatever. All right, bro. Let's talk about NBA Buzz now, bro.
All right, moving along. NBA buzz. Headline we're gonna talk about is sadly Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, and he's more than likely out for next season too. So that just means Jalen got to carry the torch next year. Obviously, they're currently still alive. They play tonight. Excuse me. The Knicks aim to close out the Celtics tonight in Game 6. The Knicks lead the Boston 3-2 in the Eastern.
What's your prediction?
The Knicks have a prime opportunity to advance for the first conference finals in since 2000. The Knicks are gonna win, man. I mean, I was shocked the Celtics even win the game, but you know what it does? That shows their pedigree. It shows that, you know, when people talk about, oh, they got championship DNA. Games like Game 5 is what they mean. Lost their best player, because I think Jaylen Brown's better, but that's a conversation for another day. They lost their best player, and they win in Game 5. And I think that's exactly what they mean when they say Game 7. But I think the Knicks are going to win, man. They lit up one game. Now, if Boston wins, Game 7 in Boston is going to be extremely tough.
If Boston
That is
wins,
not going to
if
be an easy
Boston
game.
wins, I'm picking them to win the series, but I'm thinking New York is going to close it out at home. I don't see them letting it go back to Boston.
I agree. They can't let it go to 7. And I'm not saying the Knicks can't win a Game 7 because they've obviously showed us they can win. But it's going to be extremely difficult to win a Game 7 in Boston.
With Jaylen
And
Brown,
I'm more so looking forward to, yeah. I'm so looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward because everyone doubts Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's going to be front and center. You're the best player on the team currently because no one else thinks he's the best. So it's like you're the best team currently. Let's see what you can do. And when Jaylen Brown leads them boys to the 3 seed next year, everyone's going to be like, oh, well, when Tatum was there was the 2 and the 1. And it's like, okay, Tatum also had Jaylen Brown backing him up. Who's going to be his Robin? Jrue Holiday.
Derek White.
Derek White been hooping. He won 6 Man of the Year, so that's gonna have to be his Robin. Derek White had to come along. He had 34 game 5.
I've seen he went off.
I don't know. It's gonna be a good game though. Yeah, he went off. So, and another thing that helped is like people clown Jaylen Brown and his passing and his dream. He had 12 assists. He had 25, 12.
What about your
8.
prediction though, Jay?
So,
What was
chew
your
on that.
prediction? You said that the Celtics, if they lose, they may shake it up. Well, they're not going to trade Jaylen
Yes,
Brown.
I
You
still
think they're
believe
going
that.
to trade Jaylen Brown with Tatum hurt?
No, Porzingis is going.
Okay.
With Tatum getting hurt, Jaylen Brown stays now, but Porzingis is going. Porzingis is going. It's going to continue.
I think Drew Holiday
Al Horford's
too.
going to retire.
I think Drew Holiday's going too.
You think Holiday going to retire too?
No, I think he's going to get traded.
Or
I
you
think
think
he's
he's going?
going because
Yeah. But Porzingis is going
He's
for
older.
sure. Porzingis is going. Holiday's going. Al Horford's going to retire. It's going to be rough. That's why Jaylen Brown, if he can get them to the 3 seed, because I believe in his talent and what he can do, he should be. We'll talk about more in the offseason, but I have high hopes for Jaylen next year.
since we're talking playoffs, what
But
about the OKC versus the Denver Nuggets? Who you picking?
man, Nuggets force Game 7. Denver Nuggets defeat the Oklahoma City Thunder 1-7 in Game 6, pushing it Western Conference semifinals to a decisive Game 7. Nikola Jokic led the Nuggets with 29. The semifinal is set for Sunday in Oklahoma City. Listen, I've been down in OKC all year long. Even when the playoffs started, I was like, they're a year away. A lot of people like, one of our friends like, what do you mean? They got SGA, the MVP. Well, the Nuggets are the best player in the world. So I'm going to continue to doubt OKC, and I got Denver in Game 7. What about you?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say mine is going to depend on is SGA going to be in foul trouble like he was. Because he had 4 fouls in the first half, which is ridiculous. I'm going to say I'm expecting okay.
Pause. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry. Did you see Jalen Brunson pick up 5 fouls in 9 minutes?
No, I didn't see that.
I mean to cut you off, but when we get to the fouls, I'm like, yo, Jalen Brunson picked up 5 fouls in 9 minutes. It was insane. But it was. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Continue.
I'll say I'm expecting SGA and OKC to pull it off because it's in OKC. If it was in Denver, I'm picking Denver every single time. I think Chet is going to show up finally. He's going to show up because SGA is averaging, 30 a game? And it's like everybody's hypes up OKC, and it's like it's SGA and then everybody else. I have bold statements for
And
them
Chet
later.
was supposed to be their second best player.
I have bold statements for them later, but yeah.
Chet has not became the star people believe in yet.
Yeah.
But they gotta win. They gotta win. But I also believe the winner of this series is going to the finals. Either Nikola's going again, or SGA is going to his first one. And Jalen Williams, both Jalen Williams actually need to play better. Jalen Williams, the starter, has become more of a every other game kind of guy. And Jalen Williams, the sixth man, I feel like he has his moments, but he's a defensive presence. We need his defensive energy. So we got to see a little better defense for him. He's been great for the most part, but last game they could have really used him a little more doing what he does
I got a
best.
bold
But
statement
yeah,
for you.
I got the Nuggets. Money has the Thunder. What's your bold statement?
My bold statement is if the Spurs stay at number 2 and take a point guard, I think that De'Aaron Fox might be on his way out. And if I was OKC, I'll pick up the phone and try to get Fox next to SGA.
They're not gonna move him. They
You
just
don't
got
think
him.
so,
It
man?
wouldn't make any sense to just trade it for him.
You
Nah,
got
they
too
just
many
got him. They didn't even
guards.
give him a
You got
chance,
too many
really.
guards. You got Castle, who's a star. You got you're gonna the second best player in the draft is a guard. You're not a point guard from the Rutgers.
If anything, you package that up to get Giannis. You package that up to get Giannis, or you package that up to move up and take Flag.
They're
Cooper
not
Flag
getting.
and
They're not
Wemby
getting
with
flag.
Castle.
They're not getting flag. I don't see. I don't see the Mavericks after getting gifted that. Matter of fact, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm gonna say my crazy take is if I was the Spurs, I would trade De'Aaron Fox and try to get. I would trade De'Aaron Fox. I would take that point guard from the Rutgers at 2, have him in Castle, and I would try to get Bailey. And I would go in with that point guard from the Rutgers, Castle, Bailey, and Wemby. And I think you would have a nice young core for years. I like Giannis, but my main thing is by the time, what if it takes them 5 years to, because we know it takes some teams some time to gel. What if it takes them 5 years to finally get there? Giannis is 35, and at that point, he isn't the same player.
Giannis is also the best player in the world, and by the time he starts descending, Wemby is ascending. So I think they'll play. It's going to be like David Robinson and Tim Duncan. The same happened with them too. As David Robinson was descending, Tim Duncan started ascending. So I think it'll be the same situation as that. Except I think Giannis is a better player than Tim Duncan. Excuse me, not Tim Duncan. David Robinson never was.
Well, the point guard name was Dylan Harper. His 6'6" point guards.
Harper, yeah, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, yeah.
Here's since we're talking about Giannis.
Yes.
Since we're talking about Giannis, I would take Sengun, for the Rockets, and I would trade him for Giannis. I'll package up a deal. I'll package up a deal for him because you got to think about it. The Bucks are basically in rebuilding mode. Kuzma ain't that dude. Dame is
All
hurt.
the reports are saying that the Rockets have the best package because if you give up Şengün, you get a 5-star. He's a really good player. He's the Rockets' best player.
Sengun ain't gonna be Giannis.
But no. But he's a star though. He's a star player. He's really good. I like him a lot. He was an all-star last year. You give up Şengün, I guess a couple picks. Everyone seems to like that. You're not the first person to mention Houston. A lot of people seem to like the idea of him going to
Me
Houston.
and Joker
for
were
Şengün.
talking about it.
I wouldn't break the team up. If I was a number 2 seed this year, so it's like, do I really want to break it up for Giannis? Is Giannis going to take my team to the next level?
I think he can.
I mean, obviously you say yes because he's a top 3 player, but we can't forget Jalen Green gonna be shooting for 32 feet like he Curry, going 9 for 30 in games.
You think Giannis gonna accept
He's
that?
still gonna be there unless you put him in that Şengün pack. He's not a guard. He's a
No,
front
you
court
think
player.
Giannis
what I'm
gonna
saying?
pull him to the side? Like, look,
It'll be interesting to
like,
see.
look, bro, you can't be doing that. We trying to win championships, bro. We ain't trying to play around.
Nah. Jalen Green is one of them players that's overly confident in his ability. You ain't see him talking crazy to Russ Westbrook?
No, I ain't see that.
Bro, he was talking crazy to Russell, and Russell was flabbergasted. Russell was like, bro, he was on my AAU team, and he talking crazy to me like that. And then somebody posted a picture of Jalen Green in high school playing on Russell's AAU team. I was like, oh, this is a thing. And Russ was just he was just flabbergasted. He was like, he played on my AAU team. He gonna talk to me like that? So yeah, so he's very arrogant in
You didn't
himself.
talk about other results? Talk
Um,
about other results in the NBA?
yeah, the Timberwolves are waiting. They beat the Warriors 4-1. Warriors wanted to get the game 6 to get Curry back, but if we being honest, if we listen to Curry in those post game interviews and his body language, I don't think he was coming back in
He
six.
might not have came
I
back
don't think he was
saving
coming
either.
back. I don't think he believed in.
Game seven either, probably.
Yeah, he might not came back. He didn't seem very confident in him coming back. Probably because he's never with a soft tissue injury before, so he processing that. But I don't think
What
Curry was
happened
coming
to
back this
playoff
series, even
Jimmy,
they got the
Jay?
6. So Timberwolves beat them soundly. He shied away from it. A lot of people were saying he didn't show up, but partly because he didn't. It's no reason Jimmy shouldn't have had 25, 30 shots this game. If Jimmy went out there and shot 6 for 36, he ain't have it, money. He shot 11 shots. Pod shot like 28. Jonathan Kaminga shot 17, 18. Those two guys shouldn't be shooting more than you, Jimmy.
I agree with you.
He shied away from it. He shot like 11 shots, 9 shots. So if you're supposed to be the guy, this is the game we need, just elimination game. Go out there and do what you do best. And he didn't want it. I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall with Steph too. He knew they could only go as far as Steph, and yeah, so that's sad. The Pacers are also waiting in the Eastern Conference
That was my
after
surprise, bro. That
beating,
was my biggest surprise. I didn't expect the
huh?
Pacers to make it that far.
I mean, the Pacers made it that far last year.
Yeah, but this year I just didn't see it, and they proved me wrong, man. The Pacers proved me wrong.
You know why? Because Cleveland is soft. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny because Cleveland is,
They're talking trash to Miami.
Cleveland got rough areas in there. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, it's talking trash to Miami. It's funny because, but Cleveland is known as like a city, But the Cleveland Cavaliers, they soft. So when it came down to it, they went out there and got gentlemen swept. The boys had suits and ties on, holding brooms, and then, but yeah, shoot. So Pistons Wolves are a series away from advancing to the NBA Finals. What are your thoughts on one of them teams potentially making the finals?
Okay, I think it's possible that the Wolves can make it to the finals because let's just look at OKC and all they have is SGA. I think if they match up with Denver, I don't know because I don't think Gobert can handle, Jokic. But I'll say if they match up with SGA and OKC, I think they can make it to the finals. I really do.
Fun fact: the Timberwolves were built to beat the Denver Nuggets, so I think that's a bad matchup.
Really?
The reason I say that is because yes, the GM of Denver that made that championship team was fired and became the GM of the Timberwolves.
Wow.
And so, since he's fired, it's like, okay, who's the team to beat? The team I just built. Who knows the weaknesses of the team? Me, because I built that team. So if you look at how the roster's constructed, they're constructed to beat them. We need somebody to stop Nikola. We get Rudy Gobert, who's considered the best defensive big in the league. We need somebody who can go up against Jamal Murray. We got Ant-Man. Ant-Man's considered one of the best two guards in the league.
Mm, okay.
Denver doesn't have a facilitator. We have a facilitator with Mike Conley. You get what I'm saying? Like it's little things like that. Same with the Knicks. The Knicks were built to beat Boston. We need a scoring big that's going to make Porzingis step out there. Then they
Cat.
got Cat. Jalen Brunson's a scorer. You know what I'm saying? Mikal Bridges was brought in to add to the scoring. That way you get Jay Brown off him or you get Drew off him. You can't guard all of them the same.
That's true.
So it's just, yeah. So I think that's a bad matchup for Denver, even though I still believe in Nikola. He's once again the best player.
That's what I was saying, man.
But if it's OKC should beat them.
I don't know, man.
The
I think they got a better
Pacers are
chance with
playing the Knicks or the
OKC, bro.
Celtics.
I think they got a better chance with OKC.
The
Yes.
Timberwolves?
Here's why. All they have, all that's really been carrying them is the boy SGA. You put Ant on him, and Chet and the other big mans aren't really doing anything for the Thunder. You got
Chet's a
You
defensive guy,
got
bro.
Randall.
He like a lot of people expect him to go out there and score 30 and stuff like
Randall
that.
gonna get
He's
30
a
on him.
defensive guy, so he's gonna Randall. The thing with Randall is
He's physical.
historically bad in the playoffs. He's playing this year. He's been playing the best playoffs of his career. You can pull up the numbers. You compare this playoff run
That's
to
why
his whole
he's
career
balling.
playoffs. He's terrible. So that's why, yeah. So, but I think Chet's a good defender. He was top 5 in blocks this year for a reason, and he's gonna continue. He's gonna have to guard Randall. But if Randall put a body on him,
That's what I'm
Chet's in trouble.
saying.
He's too thin.
That's what I'm saying. That Randall is
So
physical.
So you might have to put Harkenstein on him. Harkenstein matches up a little well because he's a lot bigger and stronger. But Harkenstein doesn't have the length of Chet. That's why I kind of like the idea, but it's tough. It's tough.
Okay.
It's tough. But SGA been doing it all year. Might continue to do it. So draft lottery results are in. The Mavs have secured their first overall pick in the top 5. I'm not going to say all the 14, but I'm just naming the 5. The Dallas Mavericks pick 1. The San Antonio Spurs pick 2. The Philadelphia 76ers pick 3. The Charlotte Hornets pick 4. And the Utah Jazz pick 5. Money, what are your thoughts on the lottery? Are you excited? Disappointed?
I got a lot to say. You want to go first, or you want me to go first? I got a lot to say about this lottery.
Go ahead,
Okay,
bro.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say people. There's been a lot of conspiracies coming out, like were the Mavs forced to trade Luka to the Lakers in order for them to get the number 1 pick, because that trade, me and you wouldn't even make that trade on doggone 2K. That trade wasn't a good trade. Like, you're trading a budding superstar that took you to the finals for a Anthony Davis who's always injured. Why? Unless, and then they get the number 1 pick. It's like, you get what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna name some other times that you have to think about with the NBA. So, LeBron is coming out, and Cleveland Cavaliers get the number 1 pick. Don't seem fishy, huh? The year that Derrick Rose comes out, and he's from LeBron's from Ohio. Derrick Rose is from Illinois. Derrick Rose comes out, and the Bulls get the number 1 pick over the Heat. And then this, they trade Luka, and then they get the number 1 pick. I was like, it's a lot of conspiracies about that. It really surprised me that the Spurs got number 2 and the 76ers got number 3, when the Hornets and Jazz are a lot worse than those teams. And it's like, you look at the Spurs, they got a budding superstar in Wemby. They got Castle. They got Fox. You look at the 76ers, right? They have Wemby. They have Paul George. They have Maxey. You look at the Hornets. LaMelo. That's all they got. Miller, he was okay. But LaMelo. Then you look at the Jazz. Can you name a player on the Jazz besides Sexton and marketing?
Yeah.
Can you name a player on the Jazz besides those two? Because them dudes suck. And they have 4 and 5. Them dudes suck. Let's just call it what it is. That's all I have to say about the draft lottery.
So you think the lottery is rigged,
Yes.
bro?
They do it behind closed doors. They do it behind closed. Like I said, they do it behind closed doors. Nobody sees, and then they happen to release a video afterwards. Like, yeah, it ain't rigged, y'all. This is what happened. Yeah, right. What are your thoughts
All
on
right.
it?
So first and foremost, the lottery ain't rigged, money. The lottery is not rigged because you gotta think, man. If it would have been rigged, they would have did it for New York more recently instead of the last time they had number 1 pick is when they took Patrick Ewing. How long ago was
Hey,
that?
hey, how many
Okay. Once again, if it is rigged, how many
how
what?
many times has the Miami Heat got the number 1 pick? Never. They've never got the number 1 pick.
Never.
Think about that.
Okay, man. They're not the only team. Anyways, like I was saying, how you convince every team? How do you convince the owners on who wins every year?
Well, like I said,
We're all billionaires sitting in this room. How do you say, all right, you guys, we're giving it to Cleveland this year? And you got teams like the Miami Heat, like, well, damn, when is it going to be our turn? The NBA been around 100 years,
it's
bro.
rigged, bro.
And there's 6 active teams that's never had to pick. Another thing that people fail to realize, too, I think it's top 3 or 4 teams have the highest chances, right? You know what the odds are? The odds are 14% chance they get it. So it's still an 86% chance they don't get it, money. That's why it's a
14 to
lottery.
1.8%.
Another thing too is
14 to a 1.8% chance. So a 2% to a 14%.
you still have an 86% chance you don't get it. So yes. Another thing is sending Zion to the Pelicans helps in what way? A smarter team.
They traded Anthony Davis. They needed another superstar.
It's a small market team. Why are we building up small
You
market
have to
teams?
have You have to have superstars in
The
every
Spurs
market.
drafting Wemby helps in what way?
Texas is a big state. Texas has money.
The Spurs, San Antonio is a small market team. They're not going to put these small market teams and not put New York on. New York wouldn't got it. And like I was saying, it's 6 teams that are active that never got it. Denver, Pacers, Grizzlies, Miami, OKC, and Utah have never gotten number 1 pick. You mean tell me they pockets ain't deep enough to get it at least once if it's rigged? Another thing too is NBA hires independent auditors to observe the draft lottery. And so they're verifying that all the teams are actually legit drawings, ensuring transparency and fairness. So although we might not be able to see in the room, it's a lot of in them to observe it and make sure there's no funny business. The NBA is a multi-billion-dollar industry under constant public media scrutiny. Any manipulation will massive at minimum award. Allegations to arise and deal with frustration outcome based on real evidence? Not likely. Conspiracy theory never hold under investigation. Every time someone cries rig, no investigation has ever been found credible proof. If there was a shading deal, leaks will never come out because not only do you need the owners in on money, you need several media members who are a part of that to be in on it. And you mean to tell me all the people, there's no whistleblowers? We watched First 48. We see 3 black dudes snitch immediately. So out of 100 people in the rigging of the NBA lottery, none of them snitching.
That's all it takes.
Once again, no, because once again, no. So it's not rigged, bro. You talk about, and once again, how much money are you paying billionaires to be like, okay, I'm cool with my team never getting the number 1 pick? I have billions. You're not going to sit here and say, oh, well, I'll give you $100,000 if we allow people to get number 1 pick.
They got it 3 times, bro.
Because if that's the case, then we're rigging the championship.
They got
too.
it 3 times. When LeBron
We're
left.
finna rig the championship too. Okay, cool. And okay, once again, if I'm Miami, okay, cool. Cleveland gets number 1 pick. Well, I want the championship this year.
They got 3.
So it's okay. What about teams like Utah? Could you imagine being the owner of Utah? I've been a part of this sham for 40 years. When is it my turn? Like, let's be honest, bro. Like, what are we talking about? When is it going to be my turn? Like, that's crazy, bro. So no, I don't think it's rigged. And I honestly feel like no matter who it would have went to, everyone just, if it was the Spurs, people would still be screaming it's rigged. Same with Philly and the Hornets. So the Hornets has been a bad team forever. I'm not worried about any of those teams. That's just the nature of the beast. And and another thing too, we're not considering too money. They were a what team this year? The Mavs.
Play-in.
They were a play-in team. Correct. They were a play-in team. So they were in the play-in. They won. They were playing. Who was it? They were playing the Hawks. Competitive. No, excuse me, not the Hawks. The Grizzlies. They were playing the Grizzlies competitive. They almost won that game. You do realize if they were to win that game, then they're not even in the draft lottery to begin with.
Yeah, that's true.
So, let's look at the whole thing. I don't think you go out there and try to win a playoff game if you know you're getting rigged the draft lottery. I wouldn't even put my hat in it. We've just been the worst team that we're getting odds. Just saying.
I'm just saying, you're looking at things like, type of situation. I'm just saying. So you got any more NBA news?
You have an 86% chance not to get it.
Yeah, more NBA news coming
let's
up?
Let's go
or?
to NFL news.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready for this one.
No, I don't got anything.
I'm ready for this one.
All right, what's your first headline? Now we're about off-season headlines as we're getting up for mini camp starting around the corner. We're currently dealing with rookie mini camp. I think rookie mini camp might just ended. What are some of your favorite headlines
Okay.
floating around, Money?
They're talking about Rodgers' future. The dude sucks. He sucked for the past few years. Like that dude is a garbage can quarterback. He had his time. Now he need to be out there holding a water bottle, getting it to the team. Cause that dude is done. Okay, and then we have Jalen Ramsey and they're talking about with Jalen Ramsey. Then they're talking about possibly Tyreek Hill get traded, depending on the Dolphins season and how the Dolphins season goes, because I was listening to one of my favorite Dolphins YouTubers. His name is TD Fans Talk, one of my favorite Dolphins YouTubers. And he was like, what if the Dolphins have a bad start? You know Tyreek Hill and how he is. You might have to get him up out of there because he's going to start a big fuss. And Ramsey already demanded the trade. So you're going to have 2 locker room cancers in there?
I mean, it's possible to go back on that. Look at freaking Myles Garrett. Oh, well, now out of here. Hey, Miles, here's like 10, 20 more million. Okay. It was an interview he did. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was an interview afterwards where he's like, yeah, the team, we had a conversation, the team's going in the right direction, and I just, like he's searching to find the words to say. If we're being transparent, I was going to leave. There'll be more money, so I stayed. You don't got to explain yourself to Bud like Miles. Anybody else in his situation would have did it. You could have played money. You could have played for that 0-16 Lions team. And you're like, man, I want to win the championship, bro. I'm out. And they come up to you like, hey, Money, we're going to add $30 million to your contract. We really want you to stay.
Nah.
Yeah, you guys, I resigned the contract, man. I just, I'm the highest paid wide receiver in football right now. So, the team's looking to build. Everyone's going to.
Nah, they'd have to slide me some more under the table. They'd have to slide me some more under the table. Hey, I want 35. I want 30. Hey, we're going to suck again next year. I want 35.
So Myles Garrett took the money, and so there's a world where Jalen Ramsey doesn't leave. The fact we haven't heard any whisperings or any teams interested. Have you heard about any teams interested?
I've seen stuff.
I know you're more plugged in with Miami,
I've seen some stuff.
But did it even sound like realistic?
But until I see actual Dolphins reporters mentioning it or media outlets, I don't know how true it is because I was hearing that he might go back to the Rams and stuff like that, and I'm like, they just traded him. That don't make any sense. And then they said the Bills, and I'm like, why would Miami trade Jalen Ramsey to the Bills?
They're not going to trade with a rival. And then, well, if Ramsey has a career year,
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Not going to make the Bills better.
Okay, then we have 2 more. Will Trey Hendricks still be a Bengal? Do you think he gets traded this season?
Yes. I mean, if he doesn't get traded, he's. I don't want him to sit out. I hate when guys sit out a year, man, because NFL means not for long. You don't have long to play this game, especially when you're that elite of a player. We never seen it work out for guys that sit
Remember
out.
Bell.
The few players that have set out afterwards, their career was assumed. Le'Veon Bell is a great example of it. He wanted all this money from Pittsburgh. He sat out the entire year, and he was never the same. So I would for him to sit out. But, he led the league in sacks since he joined. He's one of the best defensive ends in the league. And by them opting to re-sign T. Higgins, this shows they agree with my personal philosophy, and that's simply that offense wins championships. You don't pay that money to wide receivers and not pay your best.
Jay, and they played their quarterback.
Now,
and you paid your quarterback.
Do I agree with it? No, hell no. I mean,
and they paid Mike.
I don't agree with it, and it's like, he's pennies on dollars. But compared to what Trey deserves, you decide to pay all these people. Listen, bro, they paid their 3rd best offensive player, who's always hurt, by the way. Keep that in mind. You paid your 3rd best player offensively, who's always hurt, who had played a full season in his career, over your best player.
Defensive player.
So, Trey's the best player to me. No, he's the best player to me. I mean, he's done more than Joe. If you look at their accomplishments,
I was talking about
Joe
Jamar,
was
bro.
One-time Pro Bowler, one-time. Oh, Jamar. I mean, I guess you can. Okay, I'll give you that. So we agree to disagree. 2nd best player.
You pay him.
Even though I think he's been okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, you pay him. You pay your second best player. Not even offensively your second best player. Jamar Chase is number one, Trey's number two. And you chose to pay T. Higgins, who's not gonna play a full season.
I would have traded T.
It's insane. It is insane. I'll trade T. That's why I was like, oh, I'll take him in Carolina. That way we don't waste the first round pick on a wide
Which y'all
receiver.
did.
But
Use the
it
first.
is what it is at this point. Which it exactly. So I think that's why we went with him. If T. Higgins was available, I believe in my heart of hearts, he's from Carolina, bro. He's a Clemson guy. So we would have traded for him. He would have been our number one next to Xavier. Xavier could have learned from him. We could have used our number one pick to go get a defense player like Walter Nolan, who was a dog. You and I both agreed on him. Or Jalen Walker. I like Jalen Walker a lot. But because the Bengals did this, and no one saw him doing this either. No one saw them extending T. So yeah, just bad.
Okay, then I have one more. How do you feel about that Brock Purdy extension? 5 years, 265 mil, 181 guaranteed, 53 mil a season. That puts him between Tua and Jared Goff.
Sounds all right. I mean, he's taken that team to the Final Four twice now, Super Bowl once. So I think that's about where he deserves. I'm still not a Brock Purdy believer personally, but if you look at his accomplishment, you're paying him for his accomplishment. So now we need him to keep doing it. Last year, when he didn't have the Avengers, we saw how the team looked. So and now, granted, what's his name?
Hey, you traded Debo.
The receiver.
You
I can't
traded
think of his
Debo.
name that got traded. Debo, yeah, Debo. Debo didn't look good last year. He didn't look good last year, and to be honest, Debo probably hasn't been an Avenger in a long time. So that's kind of there. But we're gonna see. You trade, and I've heard rumblings they're looking to move Ayuk. So you really gonna have to do more with less. If they move Ayuk,
They're
really
done
gonna
if
have to
they
do more
move
with less.
Ayuk.
So, I mean, I wish them the best. I don't see this is the team to beat no more. I think that has closed for them, and they lost a lot of players on defense as well. So, yeah, I don't take the Niners serious no more. What do you think of the contract?
I think that contract was a bad contract. I'll say the fact of like we said last year, we seen his weaknesses. You don't have Debo. It's just Ayuk, C Mac, and your tight end Kittle and Bits. You know what, George Kittle. But the thing is, you didn't win it all with that team, and you expect to win it all with less.
Yeah,
That's not going to happen. Remember this.
yes, it's gonna be tough for sure for no one.
Remember this. It's very rare for a team to win a bowl after paying their quarterback, unless that quarterback is elite quarterback, or the team you build around them is incredible.
Yeah, a lot of teams win their Super Bowl with a guy on their rookie deal. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be tough because it's gonna be hard to sign guys. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of it they paid him for what he did. He overachieved his contract. Being the last pick in the draft to go to a Super Bowl, go to the conference final twice. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a lot of that. But yeah, it's gonna be hard. If you move Ayuk, it's gonna be even harder.
All
So
right, now we can talk about your topic.
now, unless they trying to tank for Jeremiah Smith,
Hey,
so
you might.
but he's not even eligible next year, so he's only a sophomore. That's just thought about it. You can't even take for him. He's a
Yeah,
sophomore.
that's true.
And the boy from Alabama, Ryan Williams, they're going to be the top receivers coming out, and they both sophomores.
Shoot,
next
you
year.
done.
So you got to wait 2 more
You
years. for them.
done. So, hey, we're gonna talk about your favorite topic. We're gonna talk about who starts in Cleveland. I had to bring that up because it goes into your topic that you want to talk about. A specific Cleveland quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, reports are coming out, and the rookie mini, Drew Sanders was miles ahead, far and away better player than Gabriel. They were saying it was a lot of routine throws Gabriel was missing, and Drew was out there not only making those throws, but he was also, making veteran moves from checking protection and stuff like that. So he looked great. It's just so the pads, the helmets, but Shador, I think, is moving up. He started at the bottom of the depth chart, but I believe if he can please playing the way he's playing, he's going to be the backup quarterback. And if you're the backup quarterback behind Joe Flacco, who's 72 years old, you're going to be the starter at some point, which Shador is. He didn't get his number two because, once again, Cleveland didn't want him there. The owner stepped in. Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about that.
The reason why Cleveland, yeah, okay, so the reason Cleveland ended up taking them is because the owner stepped in and said, go get him. Because they said, hey, he's like, I want to get Shador. He was like, well, we got a higher grade on Gabriel coming out, so they drafted Gabriel. So now we're in the fifth round. And it was like, well, we don't know. We think we should go in a different direction. And the owner was like, no, go. And they show a video when they made the selection. It shows their war room. You see Stefanski and the GM just like, and the owner's looking at them like somebody described it as like he was looking how I look at my kids after. At the end of the day, I'm the parent. I'm going to get my way, and I just had to let them know that. So the owner was looking down on them like, yes, this is the right pick.
Oh, y'all fired.
So it's funny. Dor pans out and becomes their starter. Stefanski's probably out of there. Him and the GM.
You think so?
Because y'all didn't believe in him. And whether somebody else would, oh yeah, sure. I think if Shador plays well, Stefanski's probably going. And the GM. Or mainly the GM especially, because they didn't believe him. They didn't want him there. They didn't even give him the boy his jersey number. But what does Shador do? Because he's been trained his whole life for this, he didn't make a spectacle of it. He's just like, hey, I'll wear a different number. So I don't know. I just hate that he's there. I think it's a great situation for him to get an opportunity to play, but I hate that he's there because they don't want him there. I've always been a firm believer. I don't want to be nowhere I'm not wanted. And I think it's blatantly obvious Cleveland doesn't want him there, but he's going to ball out regardless because he's a baller.
Me and you both agree. I don't want to be anywhere that I'm, not wanted. And if the owner made that call, like you're saying, I think he's going to do his thing. He's been a baller. Like, he looked better than an Oregon quarterback. Everybody's like, well, he didn't do much. Well, Oregon quarterback, he's been, he's not nothing special to me. Like Ohio State quarterback.
He's been 6 different colleges, bro.
Ohio State quarterback look better than me. Quinn Ewers went 7th round.
I agree. Yeah. Dylan Gabriel's not better than Will Howard or Quinn Ewers. I will admit to that. I wasn't a big Quinn Ewers fan, but Quinn Ewers is better than Dylan Gabriel as well as Will Howard. Will Howard won the national championship. So I don't understand why he fell so much. Next guy I want to talk about though, Abdul Carter. Before the draft, I loved Abdul Carter. I loved everything about him, but this nigga rubbing me the wrong way, bro. He wanted Lawrence Taylor's retired number. He wanted Lawrence Taylor's retired number. To the people at home who don't watch sports and just watch this to, try to get an understanding, when a team retires a number, that means that individual player who wore that number was so great and head and shoulders above his peers that we want to honor this player by saying no one in this organization will ever wear that number again.
No, Jay, you have to explain like this, Jay.
So, Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor was one of the best defensive players of all time. He was so good, they made the left tackle position for him. Team started prioritizing the left tackle position for him. That's how great he was. One of the best defensive players of all time.
Yes, money is correct. Lawrence Taylor was an exceptional player. He's a Hall of Famer. He was great is an understatement for how good he was for the Giants and what he did in the NFL. So Abdul Carter was like, oh, I want to wear Lawrence number. And side note, I don't like unretiring numbers. I don't like that we're unretiring numbers. Like last year they did it for Malik Neighbors, the number 1. I kind of understood that because, I think he didn't play for them long or whatever. He was like one of their first. He was something significant, but he wasn't really a good player. The person who retired number 1, number 1, their first ever number retired. So the fact that came back, I was okay with it. I didn't like it, but I was okay with it. Now you going after the GOAT. Abdul, you're a rookie. You haven't played one snap yet. All we know, he could be a bust. And you're trying to wear his number. And then after that, he was like, because Lawrence like, hey, you got to get your own number. And I'm happy Lawrence Taylor said no. But Lawrence Taylor told him like, hey, man, You know what I'm saying? You coming up, you're confident in yourself, but you gotta pave your own way. And he's like, so that's a no. So Abdul Carter arrogantly says, he's like, well, I've been paving my own way at Penn State with number 11. So guess what? I'm gonna pave my own legacy, and I'm gonna wear number 11. Does does he know that number 11 tired?
Bill Sims.
So he says he wants to wear number 11 for New York all of a sudden. It's like, bro, what are we doing? And Phil Sims was like, yes, okay, but happily, I'm happy his family stepped in and was like, hell no, we're not doing that. You're not unretiring a number for this kid. What if he sucks? Like, we're not going to keep unretiring numbers every year. So needless to say, he did get Phil Sims' number after his wife and his daughter was like, no. Even his son was like, I don't know, Pops, it's kind of crazy. So he's wearing 51 currently. And I love everything about Abdul coming out, but you ain't proved nothing yet, bro. You ain't did nothing yet on the gridiron in the NFL. He's giving me Maurice Claret vibes, man. And Maurice is very full of himself after one stunning college year, and we never heard of him again. So Abdul, you better win Defensive Rookie of the Year. You better be doing. You want Lawrence Taylor number? You be doing Lawrence Taylor number things. You know what Lawrence Taylor does with rookie money? He won DPOY as a rookie. Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie.
Bro.
So if you want to wear the Lawrence Taylor number, that's what you need to do.
What gets me is he not only did he ask for Lawrence Taylor number, he asked for Phil Sims number 2. Like, really? You asked for 2 guys whose numbers are retired.
Who've already put in their work. They're already put in their work and showed they're great. So I don't know. Like I said, I ain't like that at all. He's currently wearing 50. I don't know if I said that or not, but he's wearing 51 currently. So you got to go out there and prove it out. Because that ain't it, bro.
I agree with you. Could you imagine? He probably would have asked if he had went to Carolina if he could wear Luke Kuechly number. That's what he probably would have asked.
No, yeah. Can I wear number 90? You're not wearing Pep number, man. You come on now.
So, yeah, or Pep.
But
he probably would have asked for.
But that's all I got, man. You got anything else you want to talk about?
He probably would have asked for 89.
No, so imagine I'm a defensive end, but I want to wear 89. Like, come on, bro, you're doing too much. You doing way too much. Or actually, better yet, give me number 1. Cam Newton's our only MVP in franchise history. No one's ever wearing number 1 again. So,
no, I'm good. I'm ridiculous. Good.
Well, all right, y'all. What another great episode. Felt good, able to get a lot out. I'm really excited for the NFL, man. I'm looking up next forward to this next season. Looking really good. A lot of moves, a lot of things happening. I'm excited, man. Our rookies are looking good. I've been seeing some clips of the rookies in Carolina, bro. Jimmy Horn has been looking better than Ted McMillan money.
How do you feel about that?
And I'm upset about it. And I've expressed I like Jimmy. I said that way before the draft. I like Jimmy Horn a lot. I'm not upset that Jimmy's performing better. I'm upset with the fact that we Tet in the first round and Jimmy in the 7th, and Jimmy's looking like the better player.
That's ridiculous.
So that's concern. He has to pan out. Tet can't be bad. Jimmy can be bad because of his value where we took him, you know. But Tet cannot be bad. He can't be a bust, man. Because if he's a bust, that really sets the organization back. What do you think of your rookie so far? Have you been watching? What you seen? What you heard? What you like? What you don't?
I really don't put too much into rookie minicamp. I'll say I want to see what you do against them vets. Like when you start putting in work against them vets, that's when I give you respect. But you put it against other rookies, I'm like, you all just got here. Put it against them dudes who been here, who you're gonna have to play against throughout the season. That's what I want.
See, with the receivers, they're running routes. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at their route running. I'm looking at how well they get in and out of breaks. I'm looking at how they catching the ball, where their hand placement is. And Tet, I don't know, man. He hasn't looked as crisp as I would have liked him look. And Jimmy Horn's been looking real fast, real quick in and out of his breaks, strong hand. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not gonna count them out. Like you said, it's just minicamp, rookie minicamp at that, and they're on air against, no pass and nothing. So we shall see once camp start, all that, we get to the preseason.
And remember,
I got nothing else.
Mine are linemen,
Yeah.
so you know.
You got linemen. You got
So
the big boys.
I can't.
So he got to really step in.
Yeah, so they can't really prove nothing against air. I want to see what you're gonna do against them dudes out there. So, yeah, I'm done after that.
But all right, y'all. If you listen this far, thank you so much. It's been another great experience with F Money, baby. Until next, if you're new, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please leave a comment if there's something you guys want to talk about. We're very active. We try to be, at least. We try to respond to everybody, and we try to be involved in the comment section. So please leave us a comment. Tell us your thoughts. I'm JCHD, aka Two Wavy Jster.
I'm Money Baby. F Money.
Until next one.
Take it easy, y'all.